going to Cachupata, Peru in the fall of 2005, working through the GEM Ambassador program.
Now, how did you first get involved in the GEM Ambassador program, and when did you first hear about it?
I first learned about the GEM Ambassadors program when I was, I guess, looking at coming back to Stevens Point for school to finish up my undergrad degree. I didn't know what it all entailed, but I had heard that the College of Natural Resources had this program, the Global Environmental Management, and so that was not something that sort of decided, oh, I'm definitely coming to Stevens Point, but I was happy to see that they were working globally and looking at the environment and sustainability on a global basis. So
yeah, that's really neat. Are you aware of all the areas that they're in? I know they're also in Africa and several other places around the world right now. Peru, I saw they even had a Germany forest sustainability project going. And so they're really quite spread out in different areas of the world. And they seem to cover your expenses, and it's a great learning experience. Now, did you ever think you would work abroad in the sustainability area coming in as waste management?
Well, my interest in waste management focused mostly on composting within agriculture, as well as waste reduction education. And so I have a little bit more of an alternative interest in waste management.
Now, we were talking earlier before about the fact that you said sustainability is always important, I mean, as a global issue. But in this case, sustainability is meant, at least for this culture where you're going to help, is a way to preserve that culture. Can you expand on that a little?
Sure. The village of Cachupata was almost starting to die off. They had, just because they were not able to bring in enough income, a lot of people, young people, were having to leave the village to find work and find a way to provide income, and so their village was diminishing, and their children were not getting the education that they needed, and so all of that, as time goes on, causes problems. And the organization that I'll be working with, they're called Siete Days, and they are a organization who has been reaching out to small villages, not just in Peru, but they have a branch in Spain, and they've been trying to find small communities around the world that are struggling and are needing to upgrade in their standards of living. And so they have been helping them in by providing resources and providing them some insight on how to build better structures so that they can have cleaner homes and drier homes, and then they've been helping them do better agriculture, and they've created, they've gone from 1 growing season to 3 growing season, which has provided a more diverse product that they're able to sell at the market, as well as a healthier foods for them to eat, as well as a larger income, so that people are now able to move back to this community, and their numbers are starting to rise again. And this is a village that they feel is a success story that they can use as an example for a lot of other small villages who are struggling and going through similar problems, that they can say, hey, look, we have this village that after just a short while, 4 to 5 years, has really bettered their community and is now alive and well.
As you mentioned earlier, too, just a moment ago about other growing seasons, that was compost technology in some way. How does that exactly work?
Well, along the lines of their agriculture and their composting, they live up at 12,000 feet, so their growing season is quite small, and they live under pretty harsh conditions, living that high up in the mountains. And they have built these greenhouses where they do composting within these greenhouses, so that the compost not only provides a fertilizer for their soil, which enriches their soil and better their product that they're able to provide, which is completely organic, which a lot of the market, the people at the market, the brokers, have really attached onto. People in the cities are willing to pay a higher price for organic produce that looks better and is healthier.
Putting plants on alongside a river or a stream really benefits the fish and the water. It keeps the water more clean because all those plants that are along the side will uptake a lot of pollution before it gets and runs off into those streams. And it really helps. It also brings shade to keep the water cooler for a lot of the species of the animals that need that, and it also will protect the water as well.
That's very interesting. We sometimes have the same problem in Wisconsin lakes, don't we, with soil erosion?
We do, and we also have the problem. We do reconstruction. We put in buffers alongside a lot of the rivers for trout. Because they lose their habitat where they do their breeding and they're laying their eggs. And by putting that there for them, they have a place to hide under, and that's where we're really looking at right now. The DNR are doing that.
You also said that there are these problems of soil erosion are something that impacts just about every society or every country. It's not limited to, for instance, we sometimes have problems with acid rain or something, which seems to be limited to industrialized nations. But this soil erosion problem is something that occurs in almost every habitat.
It can very well happen. It's very susceptible in tropical areas. Soil erosion is probably the highest due to the fact that in an open area it's drier and it can just happen very quickly. Especially since there's no plants where I will be putting that stuff in.
How long will that take?
How long will it take? It's going to take a couple of years, actually, to do this. I'm just going to help start the It's been kind of started, but a half-a-mile buffer is a lot. I mean, that's a pretty big project for a place like Puerto Rico in a third world. Well, it's not a third world country, but it's...
But a poor commonwealth.
Poor commonwealth, yes. And so it is going to be a pretty big project overall, and someone else will be continuing it after I leave, but I will help start out.
How many people will be involved in the project then? This is interesting because this project is more about right with the sustainability but not dealing with people within the issue. This one is dealing directly with the environment and how it impacts the animals.
Yeah, and it's dealing specifically with doing restoration work. We need to restore these buffers. There's one woman in charge of it through the Fish and Wildlife Service, and she's really in charge of it, and I'll be helping out along with that. And they'll have other workers through the Fish and Wildlife Service, I'm sure, helping out, but it's going to be a continuing project. And then there's going to have to be an upkeep to make sure that it is continuing to be successful.
With that